Zoom out so that you can see everything, and right-click the spread in the Pages panel and choose Override All Master Page Items. Go into your Preferences panel, go to Edit Preferences, select the Type page and uncheck the Smart Text Reflow. Select OK, and then go to File, Save As, and save this as the template. After you've saved, you do need to then close the file so that you can reopen it. We're going to open that same file, but this time as a normal copy, so that we'll be able to create a new file from it using the template. You can then save the file over, this time naming it Aussie Fold. In the Pages panel, make sure you're working on the first spread, 1 through 3, and picking up your Type tool, you're going to click inside the empty text frame on page 3 and type in Australia as an 80-point ATC Onyx bold. Remember, it's all caps. Holding down your Control key, you'll temporarily swap to your selection tool so you can pick up the text box and drag it out so that the entire word appears on the top line. You can resize the text box as well to bring up from the bottom to make the text box fit better. You're going to adjust the kerning between the A and the U by putting in an insertion point and then adjusting that kerning to a -80. Continue to adjust the kerning between the letters following the guides in the book. Then choose the Selection tool in the toolbox, click the text frame to select it, and choose Type, Create Outlines. Use the Control panel to rotate 90 degrees. Now we're going to move the box down so that it snaps to the bleeds. We're going to resize the text by dragging. It's going to stretch it out. Make sure that also snaps to the bleed mark. Now we also need to change the width of this box, which, because it is rotated, is actually the height. So you can move the proxy to one of the right side reference points, but you're going to need to change the height rather than the width, and if it changes it in the wrong direction, then you know you have the wrong proxy selected. Make that 1.625 and you're in good shape. Now the reason we changed the text to outlines was so that we can put a graphic inside there. Keep that selected, go to File, and we're going to Place and pick up the kangaroo in the Australia folder. In the links, there's my kangaroo, and that's going to place it right inside for you. You can then double click to select the fill choose your center registration point for the proxy, and rotate the image. Right now it's showing 90 degrees for the rotation, so rotate that to 0, which will put the kangaroo in there right side up. It's a little odd because we're working with a rotated container, so the image needs to be corrected because of being inside the container. Good place to save. Next, pick up your rectangle tool, and we're going to create a frame filling the left half of that page, extending to the top and bottom bleed guides, and leaving about 1/8 of an inch between the letter shapes and the new frame. So we're going to click up here and drag, and not quite to the top of the letters. Then fill that with black and no stroke. In your layers panel, expand the layer, and you'll see that the image is below the rectangle that we drew. We want to extend the kangaroo image beyond the letter-shaped frames into the rectangle. We can combine the rectangle and the letter-shaped frames using a pathfinder function, but we have to arrange the object stacking order so we can combine the shapes. So we need to select the rectangle and drag it below the kangaroo. Now we can shift-click the rectangle and the Australia frame to select both objects, Object, Pathfinder, Add. That's combining the objects into a single compound path, so the image now extends into the rectangle. Move the cursor over the frame until you get the content grabber. Click to select the image, and then you can drag it and place it where it lines up with the edge, and it will fill all of the letters. Save your file, and then next we'll work with an InDesign library. The library is a special type of file that stores objects including the content for use in other InDesign files. They're not linked or specific to an individual layout. You can open and use items from any existing library in any layout. We're going to be working on the inside spread. Go to File, Open, and select the Assets library and select Open. There's going to be a description. Click on that right item, the blue bar, and you can select it and drag it onto your spread. You're probably going to get a warning about missing fonts. Don't worry about that. Just place the item. Fonts aren't stored in the library. You can slide that out of the way and bring your content down and place it at the bottom of your spread, aligned to the bleed guides. You might want to zoom in on that so you can see what you're working on. And I need to close up a few items here, because we do want the blue bar to be within the bleeds. And we're going to change the text to ATC Onyx Bold. That's going to fit much nicer. Drag the form item, go back to the outside spread, and drag the form onto the bottom of the first page, aligned to the bleed area. You're going to get a missing image icon, which is the red question mark. Click on that, and you're going to select from your links the coastline TIFF. Then go to File and Open, and in your Aussie folder locate the GE Assets. Select the logo, it's grouped, and drag that onto the Assets library. Click the Library Item Information button, and in the dialog box, change the item name to Logo with Address, and in the description, use this group whenever the logo and address are required, and then you can select OK. You can then close that file without saving it. And now in the outside spread, drag the logo with address onto the center page and rotate it 90 degrees and position it in the corner of the margins, and then drag a second copy onto the first page of that spread and leave about 1/8 of an inch between it and the form. Make sure it's centered on the margin guides. With your selection tool, we're going to double click to get onto the text that is within that graphic. We want to remove the contact information and the address. So select Delete. You then can close the library panel and save your file.